From roaring waterfalls to ice-lined coastlines, from erupting geysers to the world's most unique swimming spots, today we're sharing the ultimate one-week Iceland itinerary that we use for an unforgettable road trip through this scenic country. We'll walk you through exactly what we did, day by day, with tips to maximize your time and ensure you have a great trip. This agenda is packed with jaw-dropping moments through Iceland's dramatic scenery. So sit back, hit that like button, as we share the ultimate one-week itinerary for planning a trip to Iceland.
Most Icelandic adventures start in Reykjavík, Iceland's vibrant capital. The airport is about 45 minutes from the city, so we hopped on a shuttle to pick up our rental car. Once we had our wheels, we drove to our Airbnb in Reykjavík, settled in, and spent the rest of our evening relaxing. This city has a cozy, colorful vibe which we'll be exploring tomorrow, and our Airbnb was the perfect home base for about $200 a night. We rested up for an action-packed day tomorrow. On day 2, we kick things off with a walking tour of Reykjavík. We parked near this iconic church, which you can't miss from its towering, spaceship-like design. I'll save you my butchered pronunciation, but this church is free to enter and is absolutely worth popping into, as it's probably the most iconic building in the whole country. We used the Easy Park app to find parking, and it worked really well for us. After marveling at its grand interior and taking the time to truly appreciate its stunning architecture from the outside, we wandered over to the famous Leif Erikson statue out front. After making our obligatory SpongeBob reference, we popped in an earbud for a self-guided walking tour of the city.
Reykjavík is pretty small, and while I can see most of the top sites in around 2 hours, it's incredibly helpful to use a self-guided audio tour, as it takes you on the most efficient routes through the city and highlights interesting details and historical landmarks that you almost certainly would miss. We'll link the audio walking tour that we use below. Our route took us through the city's charming streets and along its quaint coastline. Along the way, we passed some of the city's most unique sculptures. We also passed colorful houses, cool street art, and iconic buildings like the concert hall. We stopped along the way for some of the city's most famous food spots, which we'll cover at a greater length in our upcoming Iceland food tour. So be sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Because despite Iceland being famous for its sky-high food prices, we found you can actually eat some incredible food quite affordably, if you know where to look. Anyways, after wandering through some cozy town squares and popping into the free bathroom in the Reykjavík City Hall, which is an awesome structure built on a lake, we made our way to the town's famous Rainbow Road. Here we stopped for some pictures and took our last few looks around this cozy town before setting off on the road into the wild.
Alright, so we've made our way to our favorite spot in the entire city. This is the Rainbow Road Street, and if you're looking for a great picture in Reykjavík, this is the spot to do it. The street runs right up to the famous church on the island, so it gives this picture-perfect look. So you have the beautiful symmetry of the church, the colors on the ground. This is a one-of-a-kind spot in the city. The first stop on our road trip is starting us off on Iceland's famous Golden Circle Loop to swim in the clearest waters on Earth. For this, it's a quick hour drive from Reykjavík's iconic church. And while we're on the subject of cars, it's the perfect time to thank DiscoverCars for sponsoring today's video. If you're traveling to Iceland or really anywhere on Earth, you have to check out DiscoverCars. We use them to find an incredible rental car for this trip, and it's seriously one of the best platforms out there. Basically, you can use their website to scan for the best rental car that suits your needs. It makes it super simple to sort by price, car style, rental location, and user reviews for each rental car location. We knew for this trip, we needed an automatic car that could handle the sometimes unforgiving terrain of Iceland. And DiscoverCars found us the best deal out there. One of my favorite features is the ability to filter for when your flight arrives, so you can schedule your car to be available for right when you land. It's such a powerful tool, and DiscoverCars is the perfect one-stop shop to find the best rental car for you. There's also free cancellations, no hidden fees, and 24-hour support, so you can book your travel without worrying. And since DiscoverCars negotiates directly with rental agencies, they usually have better prices than you can find elsewhere. If you're planning a road trip or just looking for a great rental car nearly anywhere on Earth, definitely check out DiscoverCars. And if you use our custom link, you get a discount on your first booking, which we'll link in the description below. Huge thanks to DiscoverCars. Now let's jump back to Iceland.
Anyways, back to the Golden Circle. This is one of Iceland's most famous driving routes and takes you to some of the country's most unique attractions and natural beauty. Once on the road, it's a pretty quick drive to our first waterfall. This massive waterfall is technically a few minutes off the main Golden Circle loop, which is great because that means you can practically have it all to yourself. There's a free parking lot right off the road, and from there, it's just a 5-minute walk to the falls. The trail is pretty established, but definitely take your time and ensure you have stable footwear if you're heading down to the falls. We couldn't get over how beautiful the falls were, and how close and personal you can get with a waterfall. You'll be seeing plenty of waterfalls during your week in Iceland, but we felt this was one of our favorites, and absolutely worth a quick stop. But if you're uneasy on your feet, or you just don't feel like making the hike down, it's about a 1-minute walk to where I'm standing now, which you still get amazing views of the waterfall.
All right, we've made our way to the waterfall here, and it is roaring. I don't even know if you'll be able to hear me over the sounds of the roaring waterfall. This is so majestic. The walk down is definitely a little rocky, and we were told to bring our raincoats, not because it's raining, but because the waterfall sprays so much water, and that's definitely true. You can get pretty close to this thing, so definitely bring a raincoat if you're bringing any electronics, or if you just want to not get soaked yourself. But how cool is this? And it gets so many fewer crowds, so you can have this place all to yourself. This is one of the reasons why Iceland is just so magical. All right, you have to get up close and personal with this waterfall. Hoods definitely recommended because the wind in the spray is crazy, but I can't think of another waterfall that you can get this close to. So Niagara Falls, your move. Anyways, after eating some sandwiches while taking in the pristine waterfall views, we hopped back in the car and headed to this national park. This park is home to the world's famous Silfra fissure, which is actually a rift formed between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. And while it might not look like much on the surface, the waters here hold a secret that makes it one of the most unique swimming spots on Earth. However, given that the water is just barely over 35 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, you'll need special gear and a tour company to get to experience it. We booked our snorkeling excursion through dive.is and felt they did an incredible job leading the group. They provide all the gear, and after suiting up in some incredibly tight-fitting dry suits, we marched like penguins along to the water's edge. Once here, we descended into the icy waters between these massive tectonic plates. The Silfra fissure is home to some of the clearest water on Earth. This water here was seriously so clear and so blue, and there's a gentle current here that pushes you through the channel. Seriously, the waters are so blue, and the colors here are so vibrant, and the camera just couldn't do it justice.
You can see straight down. Your face is so ridiculous.
Are you kidding me? It's not that ridiculous. This view is though. Our group spent probably about an hour in the water, and after our lips went numb, we decided to exit the water, slip out of our gear, and head back to the car.
Actually, it wasn't too cold. It was mainly the hands. So.
And the lips.
Yeah.
For the last spot this evening, we'll be driving 50 minutes further along the Golden Circle to the town of Geysir, where we'll be settling in for the night and resting up for an exciting day tomorrow.
Day 3 was all about geothermal wonders and waterfalls. Our hotel was located just outside of the Geysir Park, and we could actually walk right outside our front door to this volcanic park. There's no admission fee to enter, and this area is home to some of the most famous geysers on Earth. Believe it or not, these were the first recorded geysers in the world, and the Icelandic word Geysir became the global term. The trails around the geysers are smooth and well maintained, so even if you're an old geezer, you can easily explore Geysir. There are also paths that wind up into the hills for awesome views, and an observation station at the top if you want to overlook all the steamy seismic action. We spent about 45 minutes here and felt it was the perfect amount of time to take it all in.
All right, we're in the geyser area, and this is a hotbed of geothermic activity. I'm pretty sure that's not a real word, and there's probably going to be some armchair geologist out there critiquing it, but the word seems very fitting for this atmosphere. All around you, you're surrounded by steam, boiling pools, and bubbling mud. We're probably the most famous geyser right behind us. This one goes off pretty regularly. We've been here for a little bit of time. We've seen it come off a couple times. Sometimes it's a massive eruption. Other times just a little trickle, but it seems to go off every 3 to 15 minutes. So if you're lucky, you can get a big kaboom behind you. It's kind of like the old faithful of Iceland, and it's pretty cool to see. All right, so what's making me laugh about all these pools is I'm just imagining a Viking dipping his big toe and testing how warm it is, wiggling into the bath and having one of those geysers go off and shoot him into the air. I can only imagine how they viewed these back in the day. After Geysir, we hop back in the car for a 10-minute drive to Gullfoss, one of Iceland's most spectacular waterfalls. This is one of the most visited falls in the whole country, and for good reason. It's massive. This roaring waterfall is easy to visit with smooth, paved paths and stairs that can get you right up close to the falls. However, given its grandeur and ease of access, unless you're visiting at odd hours, chances are you'll be sharing the views with plenty of other travelers. Still, despite the rows of people waddling along the paths along the falls, we thought it was still totally worth it. This is actually a double waterfall, meaning there are actually 2 separate plunges of water, each offering unique views. If you're planning on visiting any of the viewpoints, be sure to wear your rain jacket, as the sprays here are quite dramatic. Anyways, we spent about 20 minutes or so marveling at all the different viewpoints along the path and cursing at the knuckleheads who almost turned this magnificent waterfall into a power plant back in the 70s. Thank goodness they didn't, or we wouldn't be able to appreciate it as we can today.
After taking in the sheer power of the water plunging into the canyon and popping into the free bathrooms in the gift shop, we drove about 20 minutes to Faxafoss, a smaller but beautiful waterfall that's much less crowded. There is an admission fee to enter, and while nowhere near as grand as Gullfoss, we enjoyed the little boardwalks and walkways near these falls and slowly wandered the grounds and took it all in. This is a great spot if you're looking to eat a picnic lunch in privacy, or just sit and enjoy the little elevated wooden overlooks for a tranquil view of the falls. We enjoyed how up close and personal you can get with these falls as well as the scenery and sunshine here. We probably spent about 30 minutes here, including parking, so while it was a quick stop, we were glad we visited.
And the nice thing about having to pay for this waterfall, the viewpoints here are way less crowded and you get whole sections of yourself just relax and enjoy the amazing views. Next, we hit the road for about an hour and 20 minutes to visit this majestic waterfall. This might have been our favorite waterfall we visited during our entire time in Iceland, and it's absolutely worth the visit. From the parking lot, it's just about a 5-minute walk to the falls, and the approach here is just so pretty. The trail is lush and green, and as you approach the falls, you get increasingly good views. In fact, the trail actually winds you on a path that takes you behind the waterfall and along a rocky cave behind it. This part of the trail does get pretty wet and slippery, so make sure you wear your raincoat, bring good shoes, and watch your step as you explore. We felt the vantage points as you walk 360 degrees around these falls were terrific, and we appreciated the dark and moody vibe. After spending about 45 minutes exploring this magical misty oasis, we walked back to our car to continue on with our quest.
The next stop for today's journey took us to Vik, one of Iceland's most charming coastal towns. We'll be exploring some of the incredible spots in this town later on day 4, so stay tuned. Anyways, we just stopped for some gas and groceries at a local store, then started the nearly 3-hour drive to Diamond Beach. This is the longest driving stretch of the whole trip, but it's absolutely worth it. The landscape here changes several times, and at some points you'll be driving along mountains and waterfalls, then you'll be cruising past sheep-lined fields, and other times you'll be traversing strange rocky wastelands that make you feel like you're on an entirely different planet. This was a pretty long stretch, but we really enjoyed this ride. And then we settled in for the night at this hotel, where we got some sleep before another unique day. 2 twin beds, nice little shower here. There isn't Wi-Fi in the room, but there is Wi-Fi in the lounge area. We have a nice little view too. Not too shabby.
Alright, we started this morning off right with a complimentary breakfast from the hotel, and given that I caused a temporary power outage for the entire hotel by heating up my instant noodle dinner last night, we consider this a safe way to fuel up before a long day of adventuring. Anyways, the first spot today that we're visiting is Iceland's famous Diamond Beach. This is the furthest point from Reykjavík that we'll be reaching on the entire trip, and we felt it was a one-of-a-kind place. To appreciate Diamond Beach, there's actually 2 main areas, with parking lots that straddle both sides of the metal bridge, each offering unique vantage points and different things to see. If you want to extend your time here, you can also rent kayaks or get tickets to go on some tour boats if you want to get really close to those floating glaciers. But as someone who's watched a movie or 2 in my day, we opted to safely enjoy the sights from land. Anyways, the far side of the bridge offers some spectacular views of the neon blue icebergs that drift from these cold waters. If you're lucky, you might even get to see harbor or gray seal swimming amongst the floating icebergs. We felt it was almost like an I Spy game watching these guys swim under the water and then trying to guess where they'd pop up next, and felt it really added to the magical atmosphere of this place. This area is also home to some of the world's strangest varieties of polar bears we've ever seen. Seriously, if anyone knows what kind of polar bear this is, let us know in the comments below. Who's a good boy? As with most of the attractions in Iceland, you usually have to pay for parking, and Diamond Beach is no exception, so make sure you pay when you visit, or you might get slapped with some fines when you leave the country.
Next up, the other side of the bridge is a volcanic black sand beach, which is the namesake for Diamond Beach. Here, along the rocky sea line, perfectly polished chunks of ice famously wash up on the shore, where they glisten like diamonds amongst the crashing waves. We found this to be one of the most photogenic spots in Iceland. We've never seen a volcanic beach before that was covered in ice, so it's certainly one of the most unique beaches in the world. After walking along the shoreline and paying close attention not to be splashed by the surprisingly choppy waves, we headed back to the car for the next spot on our journey. For perspective, we spent about an hour and 15 minutes combined on both sides of the Diamond Beach and felt this was a good amount of time to enjoy the scenery. About 10 minutes away is the next stop on our tour, and that's this impossible to pronounce glacier. We stopped for just about 10 minutes to quickly walk up to its glacial lagoon, which has floating icebergs in front of the grand glacier backdrop. We decided to just snap a quick picture and carry on with our day. Given this pull-off is exactly on the route, we figured this little detour was a fun little added stop to see.
Back in the car, we drove about 40 minutes to our next location, which is this area in this national park. In the park, we hiked on this trail. It's almost like something out of a fantasy movie. The hike was moderate and took about 45 minutes round trip, so make sure you wear good shoes. We felt the landscape was very dramatic, with beautiful walking paths with flowers that overlook the massive glaciers in the distance. Overall, we felt many spots in Iceland are easily accessible by car, and we felt that we should at least try walking to a few spots that involved a slight hike, so this scratched the itch for us. There's also places in this area where you can rent glacier trekking shoes if you're looking for an icy adventure, but given I have 2 left feet, we decided to leave the on glacier adventure lecturing to the pros. Anyways, we enjoyed this little detour and decided to carry on.
Just an hour away by car, we found ourselves in a whole new world. And that's because we stopped at this attraction. This lush canyon is definitely off the beaten path, and there's a good chance you'll encounter very few travelers up here with you. Getting here involves driving up about a 15-minute stretch of gravel road that can be a little rough, but despite some large potholes, we were fine in our little car. Just be careful if your rental car has a low clearance, as you could bottom out here. Anyways, from the top of the parking lot, it looks like any old green hill, but if you follow the subtle path through the grass, you'll be greeted by a breathtaking canyon with steep, moss-covered walls. The trail along the rim is easy and offers unreal views from the protection of a nice wall. There are a few metal viewpoints built into the cliffside, which enable you to get some great views of the canyon below. After seeing so many waterfalls earlier in the trip, we felt this was a unique viewpoint that felt different from everything we'd seen before, and we were glad we made the trip. After snapping a few quick pictures from the top, we hopped back into the car to head back into the town of Vik.
In Vik, the most iconic icon in the town is this church, which is perched on a picture-perfect hill with a cute little red roof. Seriously, have you ever seen a cuter little church? Anyways, our main reason for visiting Vik was to visit one of its famous beaches. This beach is famous for its black sand, tall cliffs, and towering sea stacks. We couldn't get over how empty this beach was, despite visiting Iceland in its high summer tourist season, and we felt it was one of our favorite spots we visited in all of Iceland. One of the main reasons we visited is this is one of the places in Vik where you'll have the highest likelihood of seeing puffins if you're traveling during their breeding season. And for us, it certainly didn't disappoint. Lining the black rocky cliffs, we saw so many puffin families waddling and flying all over the rocky cliff faces. We spent nearly 2 hours just relaxing on the beach and watching the birds fly out to sea, then returning with their beaks full of fish to feed their significant others and their little ones in their cave nests. There are full day trips you can take from Reykjavík, which take you to some larger puffin colonies where you're just about guaranteed to see puffins, but given we didn't have time for that in our trip, we were so thrilled to get to see puffins here instead. So definitely add this to your list if you're hoping to sneak in some puffin watching on your trip to Iceland.
After our beach time, we drove about 10 minutes straight uphill to reach this famous viewpoint. This is a cliff top of a nearby peninsula with a 100-year-old lighthouse and epic cliffs. This marks the southernmost tip of Iceland, and the views from the top are incredible. With the ocean on one side and towering mountains in the distance, this offers one of the most unique vantage points in Iceland. We couldn't get over that we even ran into some sheep at the top, and given that there are more sheep than people in Iceland, I guess we shouldn't have been that surprised. Seriously, all along the drive, be prepared to see sheep at every turn. We stopped several times just to say hi to these woolly fluff balls, and they really are a joy to see all over Iceland. Anyways, after taking in all the views, we spent the night in an Airbnb in the greater Vik area. Alright, so this is our spot for the night. As you can see, it's a shipping container and we are on a farm. We're told there are dogs around these parts, but we're not seeing any, but we are seeing horses. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Little bathroom, no shower, but we do have a toilet and a sink. And then we have oven, fridge, and how cute is this? There are farm fresh eggs and farm fresh milk waiting for us in the fridge. And then we have bunk beds, nice little seating area, and a gorgeous view. Look at that. Pretty cute.
After waking up in our little farmhouse Airbnb and saying both hello and goodbye to these cute Icelandic sheepdogs, we started on our journey back to Reykjavík. Starting out, we stopped at this nearby waterfall. We only spent about 10 minutes or so here, but given how easy of a pull-off it was to see, we figured we might as well see 1 or 2 more falls. There are campsites here if you're looking to camp, as well as some paid bathrooms you can use as well. For us though, our favorite thing here to see was a double rainbow made from the waterfall spray, so that was really cool to see. And it was just an overall pretty waterfall. Anyways, back in the car, we set out on the journey back to Reykjavík. However, there was a quick detour on the way home that we wanted to see, and that's Kerud Lake. This is a volcanic crater that over the millennia has turned into a pristine lake. There was a small fee to park and explore here, but we were still excited to visit. Just past the admission booth, you can walk on a nice trail around the full perimeter of the crater. We enjoyed wandering around, taking in the different views, and admiring the unique terrain. Overall, I think we spent about 45 minutes here, and we did enjoy ourselves. That said, we'd probably say of all the sites we've seen so far, we cut this one out if you were tight on time, but still, it's a fun loop to take, and if you're interested in the unique geography that Iceland is known for, this is certainly worth checking out. Anyways, after the crater, we headed back towards Reykjavík, stopping along the way to enjoy scenery and eat a picnic lunch. This was a chill day to balance out the packed itinerary, and we spent the night in a cozy Reykjavík Airbnb, enjoying a home-cooked meal with some groceries we'd picked up earlier.
On our final day in Iceland, we woke up in Reykjavík and headed to the Blue Lagoon, the perfect way to end the trip. The Blue Lagoon is located near the Reykjavík airport, making it the perfect place to end an Icelandic adventure. We reserved our tickets far in advance, and when we arrived, we were in awe of the volcanic rocks and rubble that surrounded the area. Over the last few years, there have been several volcanic eruptions where lava has almost swallowed the Blue Lagoon, and they've had to push away all the volcanic rock from the parking lot and surrounding roads. So you might want to double check the news before you go to make sure you can actually access the Blue Lagoon during your trip. Anyways, once you're inside, you'll find a one-of-a-kind spa-like oasis. This geothermal spa is iconic, with milky blue water surrounded by lava fields. It's one of the few places on Earth where seawater and freshwater meet in underground volcanic pools. And that mineral-rich brackish water is so soothing on the skin. We spent a couple of hours here soaking, sipping drinks, and relaxing with silica mud masks. Just try not to actually get your hair wet here, because we've heard it can absolutely demolish hair texture. We lathered our hair up with conditioner before we went in, and definitely didn't dunk our heads, and we turned out fine. Overall, we absolutely thought the Blue Lagoon was worth the hype, and we really enjoyed our time here.
Alright, so we've officially donned our face masks, and what's making me laugh the most is how many people have just this pasty white face and then dark sunglasses on. Everyone looks like they're a cartoon character. And what's making me laugh is I can't tell you how many comments we get saying I look like Mark Zuckerberg. So I'm even laughing because I think there's that picture of Mark Zuckerberg where he's got the sunscreen on his face. So we'll see if we see the resemblance here.
After the Blue Lagoon, we dropped off our rental car at the agency, took a shuttle to the airport, and caught our flight home.
So that's it for our 1-week Iceland itinerary. If you like this video, please do us a huge favor and like this video, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to let future travelers know in the comments if you have any other tips, tricks, or questions that we can help with. We have several other helpful videos coming out from Iceland, from all over Europe, from all over Asia, and from all over the world. So make sure you subscribe to see those videos as well and find out where we're heading next. So until next time, keep exploring, and we'll see you later. Bye.